Welcome everybody, welcome to Bilingualism 101 with Dr. Verghese. I am Matthew Verghese. Last lecture, last talk, we discussed about the inheritance of language, what we've been accepted as the Darwinian understanding of the inheritance of language. And we found that Darwin is of the opinion that a one-year-old child and a one-year-old dog are at the same communication level as both can listen to certain sounds and respond, and they can recognize certain sounds. But when the child grew up to 2 years or 3 or 4 years, its linguistic level increases phenomenally. It started talking, communicating, it learned languages. So maybe a child at 3 or 4 or 5 years old can speak more than one language. I have a lot of experience of seeing children speaking more than one languages. I have actually described in this book about a child who could speak 5 languages at the age of 5. But today, the situation, so that ability is an inherent ability. So Darwin was very clear in saying that humans have certain inherent abilities that was acquired upon birth. And we may dispute with this fact, but in ancient world, the ancient civilizations, they also recognize language as an inherent ability of humans. Humans inherited this language ability from we don't know from where, because in the scientific world of today we don't accept something without evidence. But unfortunately, these kind of abilities are inherently available to humans for time immemorial. So we have to look into other sources. For example, in the Greek sources, they consider especially the Greek philosophers like Aristotle and Plato and Socrates and Plotinus and all, consider that language is an inherent ability and it is given to us as logos, and logos is the one recognizable ability that humans have upon other animals. So we have to depend on these ideas, which is philosophically or religiously understood in the ancient world. And you should understand a religious understanding of human nature is in fact the concept of God or the concept of gods represent the certain vital energies that is in our life system. So these gods actually protect our life. That is a belief. Like in modern times or in modern understanding, the nature protect our life, and we are beholden to the nature's forces. Similarly, they also believed that the nature's forces, and they believed that the nature's forces are, since we cannot conclude completely, the nature's forces are transcendent. There are different arguments against, for and against, but nobody dispute that the vital energies play an important role in sustaining life. We all age, and when we age, the vital energy subsides. Similarly, when we grew up, the vital energy from a baby to a young man, a teenager or a young man or a young woman, the vital energy increases subsequently. So you have to, and then it subsides and upon aging, like a man lives for 120 years maximum according to the Indian thinking, uh, and the vital energy subsides substantially. Nobody maintains the vital energies beyond 80 years, and it's very difficult to maintain that after 80 years. It's a tough ask. So the body actually declines its vital energy. So you should understand there are certain understanding from the religious point of view. We are living in a confined world, a determined time and space determined world, and we cannot transcend that. So we have to accept certain religious views as something given to us. So the God gave, as per the Abrahamic religions like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they believe that God gave Adam the power to name things. And you should understand, this is very philosophically important thing. No living being has this ability to name things and recognize things. So this is one of the understanding that is given in Torah and Bible and Quran, that the God has given the ability to name things. Like no animal ever could name things and recognize it and remember it. Okay, so that is the Abrahamic religion's understanding about language. But samely, Egyptian god Thoth gave the humans the ability to use language and thinking. So this is not very important thing. Language is actually, it is not just to name things, but it aids thinking. You can multiply our thinking. My imagination is totally different from other people's imagination. Our thinking procedure is different. So actually, the language means, or the ability of logos means, you are able to think and create an understanding the world that you live in. This is very, very important power. So the Egyptian believed that thinking is a part, an aspect of language, and we have to appreciate that. And Babylonian god Nebu blessed the humans the ability to use language for writing and other creative works. So actually, all these religious views which we have narrated, that is the Babylonian view and all, which has, giving an idea that language is so important in the life of humans, and the ability to use language is in fact making human very different from other living beings. In fact, many of the works in modern philosophical works like Derrida and all say that the ancient civilization that could appropriate writing, and based on writing they could actually elaborate their thinking, those civilizations dominated the world in ancient time. So it's very important that writing and become creative with language is an ability given to us, and with that ability we have created things. So when we have this language ability to think, we know that what is not possible and what is possible. So this recognition is very important. And very importantly, these religious views actually indirectly want us not to challenge the world. So challenging the world is an actually a habit today around among people. And coming back to India, India has a lot of understanding about language. Indian understanding about language is so deep. There is a Upanishad called Mandukya Upanishad, and this Mandukya Upanishad says Omityena Sarvam Jagat, means this the first verse in the Mandukya Upanishad is that the sound Om actually explains everything in this world, and that is very, very important in our understanding about language. What it says is that with the word Om, everything is explained. The realm of the world is comprised of the past, present, and future, and what can be perceived beyond the realm of this three aspects of time is also the word Om. So this is in fact the first words was the introduction of Mandukya Upanishad, which tried to say that Om, the word Om, is, what has happened in the past, the present, and future, and beyond. And when I was doing my MA, I did work. One of my theses, my thesis was write a dissertation about Mandukya Karika, which was written by Gaudapada, a very important Indian thinker. And Gaudapada has actually elaborated this idea of sound, the concept of language, maybe in a more elaborate way. He says that it has passing through our dream stage, our waking stage, our meditative stage, and beyond. Okay. Pradipashika Ashvanara means the living, the world, which the waking world, the dreaming world, the meditative world they call Turiya, and then the transcendent world is the Paramartha world. So the consciousness have the ability to pass through these four stages, and that four stages is actually elaborated in the concept of Om. It's very philosophically very intriguing thing. He has developed this thesis in a more instructive way, and very important to understand the Indian understanding of language, because the language actually exists in the deeper consciousness of humans as a sound which cannot be explained in the deeper meaning, that is Om, and that is that has been elaborated in each stage of our existence. This is a very wonderful understanding. But in India, the language, the word, the walk, is considered as a is the goddess Saraswati's what do you call the Saraswati's grace, So it is considered as the language of the speech, the what we are speaking and what we are coming out from our as our speech and our thinking and our everything that is connected with language is actually considered as the grace of Goddess Saraswati. And this, in fact, in my book, I elaborated that as the mentalist or the mind language is what is Vak or Saraswati's blessing or grace. And Goddess Saraswati is actually worshipped everywhere in China and Japan. In Japan, Saraswati is called Ben 10, and students who appear for exams, like in India, they go to the Shindo Shrine temple, and also, sorry, not Shindo Shrine, but in Buddhist temple, and pray to Ben 10. The 10 means goddess, god or goddess, and Ben 10 is Saraswati. They worship these entities as protector of what is called the grace of language. In China also there is a corresponding goddess. I don't know the name, but similarly this goddess, and in fact all the uh, gods, as I've been explaining before, represent what is called um, the grace of gods. In the case of languages, it is the grace of God that represent. In fact, in the case of India, Saraswati is the goddess that represent language. I think in the Greek tradition it is Apollo. I think I may be mistaken, but still I think it is Apollo. So like that, every tradition in the religious tradition, these vital energies are represented as God, and we worship. When we worship that God, we are invoking that energy within us. We should not actually think that the God act from outside, but God act inside of you. That is the main contention of thinkers in ancient time. But unfortunately, we think the gods are an external factor. It acts on us upon our request, but it is an invocation that happens within us. So it is pretty reasonable to think that human vital energies are having certain generic qualities, and that qualities we have to appreciate. So inheritance of language is, as we have seen in the discussion, in the last discussion, like inexplicably different from what we understand it as a scientific fact. And scientific fact, or scientifically literate world of today, have its own problems actually. We cannot actually accept science as an absolute, giving us absolute truths. So we have a lot of things which, especially connected with the language and thinking, it is very difficult to conclude scientifically in whichever way it is. This is actually Now scholars have understood clearly that 94% of the world is dark. The matter in the world is dark. Only 6% of the matter in the world is it is not dark, it is known to us. And it doesn't mean that there is unknown matter exists in the world in that way. But our mathematical calculations and our scientific understanding are only applicable for 6% of the world. 94% of the world realities are unknown to us. Okay, so this is so we should not decline as far as the language is concerned. We should actually respect our or understand that there is such energies exist in us, and we have to invoke it. So that is one of the purpose of my this work. People are thinking that they are inputting data, and the mind will actually process that data and give us a result which we want to get. But that is partially true, but mostly it is untrue. Okay. So that is it for today. The inheritance of language is a property, and major thinkers and philosophers in the world have worked on this, especially the Indian theories of language. I have elaborated in my book that in a very systematic way, because the root of language, from where the language comes, is unknown to us. And many thinkers in India, like Bhatrugari and all, says that it is coming from the deeper consciousness, and it has no special reason why the language functions this way or that way in human thought system. So that is it for today. We will discuss more on this in later talks. If you find this discussion useful, share it with your friends and colleagues. And so, 今日の話、I speak in Japanese hereafter. 今日の話は言葉の本当の元のところ、どこから来てるというのは、ダーウィンの話でもダーウィンにこれ分からなかったですね。この前の話で私言ったことは、ダーウィンの研究の中見たことは、1歳の子供と1歳の犬、同じ場合で、会長するけども、人間の子供2歳になって、3歳になって、4歳になるとき、言葉使えること、この力、本当で多くなる。この本の中、私、話したさくらちゃんの話見たら、さくら5歳で5つ言葉使えるできた子供ですね。それどうやってというのことを説明できない。誰も教えたことない。さくらちゃん自分で習ったことです。これ全部。ね。使って習ったこの力ですね。あれどこから来たというのは、みんな人間の心の中、こういうような力ある。私たちあまり使わない力を。これを私たちの一番問題です。これ、本当で見たら大問題ですね。私たちいつも今の科学の関係で、これ、データインプットするように、私たちの心の中データばっかり入れて、それからアウトプット この言葉に来るというような話で言ってるけども、本当でもったら宗教的な話で、ああのあ神様、人間に特別でこの神様ジュダヤ教とかクリスチャン教とかイスラム教の話の中、神様人間にアダムにこの言葉作るな言葉使うな力をあげた、そういうような話もエジプシャンの哲学でも、それ宗教でも、バビロニアンの宗教でも、インドの宗教でもある。インドの宗教の中、本当で見たら哲学者のせいで、この話を本当に広いして話してる。あれ、本当で見たら、弁天というような神様あるじゃない。これは日本で。みんな、瀬戸さんのお寺に行って、この弁天にお祈りするんじゃない。それは本当で見たら、これインドのサラスワディというような女神様ですね。この女神様は言葉のことを恵んでいるというような話ですね。これもう一つの場合で見たら、哲学の場合で見たら神様というのは私たちの心の中ある力です。そういろいろな力が私たちの入っている。昔のギリシャ哲学の話で、この力を私たち神様にお祈りするとき、自分自身でこの力を受けてくるというような話ですね。そう、これ人間にできることもです。そう、あなたたち言葉を学ぶとき、一番考えするとこと言ったら、私たちこれ練習して学ぶとき、私たちの心の中ある力を本当で受けてくる。